Hello, I'm ABX Toycat, and welcome back to another video. Today I have a Minecraft PC video to share with you, but it's actually mostly aimed at people who play the Pocket Edition and the console edition of the game most, because one of the really interesting restraints which those versions of the game have that the PC doesn't is spawning in too many mobs. If you try to spawn in too many console mobs, it's going to say too many of insert mob here spawned, please stop spawning them in, and it just won't let you. If you try spawning too many mobs on the Pocket Edition, it's going to just crash your game, and basically it means that the PC version of the game is the only one where if you want to have 1,000 creepers for some bizarre reason, you can. If you want to have 1,000 rabbits nearby you, you entirely can. And one of the weird things I found while I was experimenting and trying to find how many of them you could spawn is there is a really weird physics glitch you get when you spawn in too many, and it was something I just figured I had to share because it's very, very bizarre, but it's also very cool. So if you like your weird Minecraft glitches and your in-depth stuff, please do like the video and let me know, because it helps out the channel a lot, and lets me know you do just like seeing random cool stuff, because I'll be honest, there's not too much of an explanation behind this. I just kind of see what it is, and again, it's very, very bizarre to see as someone who hadn't really seen this before, because I'm a console edition player, and you don't get spawn this many mobs. But yeah, let's start by just digging a hole and spawning some creepers in there, because we'll be using creepers for this example, because I feel like creepers are just an extra humorous mob to try and spawn too many of, because again, it's the same kind of thing as before, it's the same kind of thing with any mob, but with a creeper, they're green and they've got a distinct color. Everyone knows creepers, everyone knows what 100 creepers would be like if it exploded, and that's why it's fun to try and get 100 in one hole. So yeah, we're going to start a hole, and then we're going to try and spawn in a bunch of them. Usually you can find a spot around the edges where you can spawn in more than a creeper at a time. Okay, just over there, for instance. Okay, no, we're still not doing it too fast. But yeah, you can actually find spots around the edge, just like this one over here, where you can spawn in as many creepers as you can right-click, and this means if you want to, you can just sit at the hole and spam-click the right-click and do this. Again, I was doing this because I was kind of like experimenting, because there is a way to use commands, but you have to use mods. If you want to spawn in a bunch of mobs on the PC, you do have to use spawn eggs normally. So I was like, okay, let's get like 100 creepers. So what I did is I clicked a whole bunch of times until I had roughly 100 creepers in a hole, and as you could probably expect if you have played the Pocket Edition or the console, and you have done this, it's roughly the same thing as when you do it there, where you just get a weird, incoherent mess of mobs. However, unlike on those versions where they kind of glitch out there, the creepers are very good at staying in one place. However, they kind of get this weird effect where instead of having 100 distinct creepers, you do just have like one blur creeper that's constantly moving around and making a weird circular shape. But it makes sense because, obviously there is just like kind of a lot of creepers. They're moving around so fast. Their aggregate movements just kind of make a circle, right? Which is really interesting. This is circles in Minecraft, right? But yeah, you kind of get the point. This makes sense. So what I decided to do, because I spawned in a bunch more after that, I was like, okay, so let's spawn in a bunch of mobs. So, okay, just like that. Let's spawn a bunch of mobs, and then let's see if it's increased. But when you spawn in more, even if we have like a whole 100, 200, 300 more, it doesn't really look like the number of creepers increased. So what I decided to do is actually remove the block next to it. So like that, I decided to remove the second block and see what happened. And instead of doing what I thought it would, where I'd get a big blur across the two blocks, instead what happens is you get two singular blocks of creepers that look like the ones we had before, where they almost make a circle, and then they just kind of transfer really quickly from one to the other. There's no creepers in the middle space though. It's not like they've filled it entirely. It's like there's a two single black holes that are quickly exchanging stuff. It's very, very bizarre stuff. And when you drop creepers, they instinctively go from one to the other, wherever they're meant to be. They just kind of drop in there, which again, very, very bizarre stuff. Not entirely sure what the logic behind it is, but you get something very interesting that made me think, okay then, so if this happens here, what happens if we, make this go another step further? So, of course, what I did is I removed all the blocks here, and we did another one. And we made 4, and what happens here is, again, you don't get a weird kind of flow like you would expect. Instead, what you end up with is 4 separate centers, and then they're just really quickly going. Sometimes they're going from there to there, and again, it's like 4 nodes where they're just going really rapidly from one to the other, and yeah, it's very, very bizarre. It's not how creep behavior works when there's one of them. When you get too many of any one mob, it seems to just kind of aggregate their behavior, and in this case, you get roughly 4 massive creeper-sized blobs that just kind of connect together like this. So, of course, the experiment for me didn't just stop at 4 and say, okay, well, we've got a lot of creepers here, let's just keep spawning them in, which I did the entire time, by the way. I was like, okay, then what can we do past here? So I decided to make a 5th one just to see what would happen, and this is where things get really interesting, because I was expecting then to have 5 kind of centers of creepers, and then they'd all go between them, but instead, no, it sticks at 4. There's kind of like 4 edges to the creeper, kind of system, and instead this 4th block is just where they're going from one place to the other. Also, this 5th one over here, which is in the corner, is harder to get to, it seems, and it seems like there's less creepers there. Actually seems they're trapped in the hole in the ground, but you kind of get the point right there. So yeah, what I decided to do after this, as you can probably imagine, is to just keep on going, keep on removing blocks, and to make just the kind of shape. And as you can see, there is clearly just corners wherever it can, but in between the corners, there deliberately isn't something, which maybe, it got me a bit curious. So we remove the final block here, and as you can see, we get 4 corners with this big kind of center ground where the creepers go, but this time the creepers actually get caught in each other sometimes, and you clearly have creepers in this hole here. Also, we got a bunch of creepers trapped in the hole down there, which we'll just ignore that for now as we spawn in a whole bunch more creepers, and you can see the same same effect happen, where instead of them falling down and then going somewhere, they instinctively just fall to wherever they're going to go. Again, very bizarre, like, aggregate mob behavior. But the thing where this gets really interesting is, and where you can actually use it, and where this is really cool and glitchy, is what happens when you spawn in too many creepers at once, and then you let them go free, because there's kind of like a tension in there, like kind of when you put a lot of pressure in somewhere that has some liquid, there's a lot of tension in there that's slowly building every single time you add a creeper, and at this point we have maybe 500 creepers. I haven't spawned as many as I'd like, because we can't find the exact spot where you can, but yeah, I've spawned as many creepers as I like, but we still got a lot of creepers here, right? Like, try and count the creepers. You can't, but mentally try and count the creepers and try and guess how many there is, and they're all trying to just go wherever they can. They're running around, they're doing all this stuff, and when they, again, because of the fact that it seems to aggregate their behavior, what happens if you make kind of a clear chain like this and then remove all of the blocks at once, is it kind of just releases it all at once, like there's some water trapped in somewhere for some tents, and instead of them just flowing out like you'd expect and slowly crawling down the mountain, instead they release with massive pressure like this, and we actually make a creeper gun that fires creepers out slowly and surely. It's not just the one time, it's like they're trying... It's not it. Again, I don't know, like, you'd figure after the first release it'd stop, but no, it's just every, like, few seconds it fires out a creeper, and by using this information, if you're in creative, or if somehow you can get this many creepers in there in survival, you can kind of make a creeper cannon, and you can fire creepers at people. If there was someone over there that just wasn't expecting it, with just one, push for a redstone block, or just destroying 2 blocks by yourself, what you can instantly do is you can launch creepers at them, and it's one of the funniest things that you can do in Minecraft because of the weird way behavior works. So yeah, if somehow you can gather 500 mobs in survival, you can make a creeper cannon, and the creeper cannon doesn't just stop after the first launch, it's going to keep on launching them. You can see where they've gone roughly. Some have just kind of spewed out like, like normal, like you'd expect. They just walk out and they're all walking around up here, but some of them go far, really, really far flying into the water. So yeah, this is basically the thing I wanted to show you. Minecraft mobs are really weird on the PC, and maybe that's why you can spawn so many of them, and it's a shame you can't do this on the console, the Pocket Edition, but you can probably kind of see why. So the next thing I want to show you is because even though, also every time you try and walk into these, it gives you a really big push. Like, look at this, like every single time I even try to walk into the horde, because collisions are turned on. Yeah, one of the very interesting things about this is even after all these creepers have poured out, and all the creepers can pour out, these big kind of mob, creeper holes still do exist. And one of the things about this is if you try to blow it up, which I'm going to do right here, you get a very, very interesting explosion. And a lot of the time, it will launch you incredibly far, further than you might just expect. So yeah, if you want to, if you want to have a very fun experiment in Minecraft PC, what you can try doing is you can try spawning as many creepers in a hole as you want, and seeing them be fired at people. Or you can even probably do this in survival if you have a lot of time and not much else to do. So yeah, just a little bit of an experiment. This is kind of like a teaser for a video I am working on, which is how many creepers you can spawn. I do have to get a mod for that though, and let me know if you want to see that, or if you think, Toycat, I think I've seen enough of lots of creepers in a hole. But yeah, I'd love to see your opinion in the comments down below. Like the video if you did like it, share if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here. I make videos like this every single day on my channel, and if you subscribe, you'll see them daily on your homepage. Thank you all very much for watching, and goodbye.